What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tsla, and the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. Anyways, as far as the market's going, I just want to mention that there's a lot of weakness right now. We're starting off with a big gap down. So when we open today, we're going to see this big gap above, but the market's very weak right now. We're getting, I'm not really seeing too much news coming out. We're actually seeing a bit of a sell off to start things off. But the question is, can we see buyers defend where we are, and will we see some kind of bounce? I'll give you guys more insights about that. So the first problem is we have a very, very interesting options chain, right? We have over or very close to 4 million of these puts expiring, and we have close to 2 million calls. We have a 2.05 put to call ratio with max ping being at 580. So the majority positions are in puts, right? There's so many puts expiring. Typically, when that happens, especially since we had a red at Thursday, what typically happens is Friday tends to be a better day. But as of right now, we're starting off on a weekend. So we need to see if we could hold support right here near 559, because that's the previous low over here. And then if that doesn't hold, I'm looking for like the 555 area. That's where we also have an imbalance. So we have to bounce off one of those levels. If we don't hold 555, we're going to be at risk of dumping really hard. And SPY could be making a new low. Now, with the inverse essentials, this is technically still valid. We haven't invalidated this fully yet, but we're just barely holding on to this. You want to be very, very careful. Now, for economic data, we just have Williams and a couple of Fed speakers, nothing too serious for today. And then I didn't see anything else too crazy on the news. We're just seeing lots of politics for now. But keep in mind that the EU did announce they want to delay their tariffs on the US. And then President Trump is once again talking about how he wants to implement reciprocal tariffs. So he's been going on about that again. But he's basically just hyping up April 2nd. He's just hyping up April 2nd, and there's not really much else I'm seeing, at least for now. So for the time being, it's just more of a technical move. There are lots of option expiration days, so I do expect a lot of volatility. And the market did kind of slip yesterday. Now we're going to see if some buyers return. We went over the earnings from yesterday with Nike. So unfortunately, the earnings were not the strongest, with their margins kind of getting tighter. That's why the share price went down for them yesterday. So just keep that in mind. And then to add on about other things, I want to mention that there's nothing else too crazy in the news. So let's just focus on the charts from this point on. So SPY is not looking too good, right? We're losing this low right here. We're seeing a big gap down. But here's the thing, like I said before, we're going to form a giant gap. There's going to be a giant gap when we open. Will this just continue to, will it be a gap down and just a dump? Or do we gap down, tip a little bit, and bounce? That's what we're going to be watching for. So I think we're making a move like this. We're going to see if we could hold 559 when we open or get back above it. If not, we could be dipping to 555. That's going to be the next big level, 555 to 556 in that range. And then if we hold 555 today, if we never lose that, there's going to be hope for us to get an end of the day bounce to try to fill the gap back up to 565. If we lose to 555, if we can't hold 555, then this is going to be bearish, and then SPY will officially be dumping to the lows all over again. So I'll be watching this just to be safe. Do we see a big dump and lose 555 to be bearish, or do we dip a little bit from here and then try to bounce? I'll be watching that very closely. It's kind of tricky to predict because of the options chain. We have all these option expirations. Keep in mind, there's a 2.05 put to call ratio. There's 2 puts for every call. Typically, that will lead to some upside, but we'll see just to be safe if the market gets a bounce. So expect us to gap down. Do expect a little bit more downside for now, and then we'll see if buyers defend. For the QQQ, relatively weak. We're barely holding 474. If that fails us, we're looking for 471 to fill that gap. So it could be dipping a little bit more. Want to see if 474 holds. If not, we could be coming down to fill this gap, and we'll see if we get a bounce from there. I want to see us reclaim 480 to really bounce. We're not really there yet, so we might be dipping a little bit more. We have 474 and 471 as our targets, and we'll see if buyers defend to get us right back up. For the IWM Russell 2000, we still technically have a valid inverse head and shoulders. This has to reclaim 204 at the very least. We're at 202. We could be dipping closer to the low 200, so we'll have to see if we bounce back up to 204. For ES, ES is looking at also an inverse head and shoulders like pattern. We're watching to see if we could hold 5650. We got to hold 5650. If we don't hold that, we could be dumping all the way down towards the low 5600s. But if 5650 holds, we could try to rebound for a 5700 plus. So we'll see how it goes. Watch 5650 and see what kind of reaction we get. For NQ, we're relatively weak here. We had this wedge forming, but now it's not really valid, right? This wedge has been kind of invalidated, but this low is still holding, so we have to see if 19,600 holds. If it doesn't hold, we could be dumping all the way down towards these lows again, 19,400. So expect this to dip a little bit more, but watch to see if 19,600 holds. If it does, there could be some kind of attempt to rebound. So be careful. For now, we are looking a little bit more bearish. Bitcoin is dipping right here. We could be looking for a test of 82,500, but we'll see if buyers defend there. Nvidia could be retesting 115, very close to this low here, and we'll see if we bounce. It has to try to bounce near 114 to 115. Otherwise, it's going to dump more to like 110. Tesla's going to test 233 to 230. We'll see if we bounce up that to get back into the 240s. If not, if we end up losing 230, we could be dumping more. So watch and see what kind of reaction we get. For Apple, we have this low here at this 210 area. If that holds, we could try to bounce for 214. If this fails us, we could be dumping more, so give it some time. For coin, we're kind of stuck in the middle right now. We're looking at this resistance up here around 187. We got to hold that. Otherwise, we're going to be likely dipping to 181. So if 187 does not hold, look for 181, and we'll see if we hold that. Amazon's barely at support around this 190 area. But every time we hit 190, we do bounce. So we'll have to see if we bounce near 190 or not to get back up to 200. Meta is barely holding support. We could be dipping to like 575, and we'll see if we bounce. We want to get back up at 591, so we'll see how that goes. Microsoft is in the middle. We could be dipping closer to about the like 380 area, and we'll see if buyers defend or not. Then Google's looking relatively weak, so we could be dipping back down towards the 161 area. We'll see what kind of reaction we get. The VIX is looking bullish. If it breaks 21.8, it's going to be a bullish signal. That would be bearish for the markets. So is the market about to get a massive rug pull? It's a possibility, but I just want to say that there's no confirmation yet. I want to see SPY lose 555. If it does, it's going to be a bad sign. We haven't done that yet, so we'll have to see if we hold support. It could be very tricky with all these option expirations. So be patient. Let's see how well the market tries to hold up. If this is a trap, because keep in mind, we're just gapping down, but there's going to be a giant gap above. Will the buyers return to push us up? Because remember, yesterday we were just pumping, trying to break the trend. Today we dump. So let's just see how well we hold up. So watch that gap above, and we'll see how well we end up holding up. Have a good day, guys. I'll be back in a couple of hours for another update. Until then, have a good one and peace out.